Ladies, I'm so excited today. I have with me in the studio Sally and Robin, and today we are going to talk about how do you parent young adults. It can be tricky. Now, I know nothing about that, which is why I brought in experts who have adult children, and we're going to just talk about some things that you guys have learned as you're parenting through the adult children years. Okay, so let's get to it. So Robin, let's start with you. Tell me one thing that you have learned so far about trying to parent young adults.
I've learned that I need to still be myself. As the kids have grown up, the culture of the family has changed. And as it's changed, I found myself trying to change with it when I realized I needed to be more of the anchor and more of the rock. And the best way for me to do that was to be the mom that I have always been, to say the things that I had always said, to try to love them and relate with them in the same way that I have always.
Okay, so instead of maybe trying to change with your kids and try to be something you think they want you to just be the mom you've always been. Okay, that's good.
And I'm just going to add to that because it's one of my points.
Yes.
It's just messy. It's messy because as a mother, you're going through something you've never gone through before. You've spent the last 18 years parenting, and suddenly you need to stop parenting. And likewise, your child has been parented and looked to you, maybe not always consciously, but looked to you for that anchor that you were mentioning, Robin. But now they got to break away from that anchor and figure out who they are and even gain confidence that they can do it on their own. And they don't know how to do it. They've never done this before. So it's just really messy. And I've talked to so many parents that are experiencing the same thing. They've experienced it in the past, they're through it, or they're going through it right now. So my advice is prepare yourself for that.
So be prepared that it's going to be hard at times.
It's going to get
hard.
Messy. And don't compare, because there's going to be maybe a situation where it doesn't appear that your friend or someone from church or someone at work is going through the same thing. I think they will at some point.
Yeah.
It has to happen. I think it's really part of God's plan that it happen. And don't take it personally, because that's going to be your inclination. This is your child. You've invested your whole identity, in some cases, into this person, and it's not all fluffy and wonderful, and it can be really difficult, and you can take it personally, and that can only lead to you perhaps overreacting to a situation. And that makes it even messier.
Okay, so I'm hearing stay the mom you've always been. Don't try to change with how you feel like your kids are going. And you're saying be prepared that it's going to be messy. So I think that's really good, ladies, moms out there, to think about. Be prepared that there's going to be some adjustments, it sounds like. That there's going to be, like, you're reading the situation, but stay consistent, stay the mom, and be ready that there's going to be some rocky times. Now, Robin, one of the things that you also said is that you need to give them some space. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think one way, maybe a better way to say that is all the times that the kids have grown up, you've been the expert on their life. And I think the times when they become young adults it's their turn to be their own expert on themselves. I think that's the easiest way for me to think of giving them space. The space that they need to figure out who they are and who God has created them to be, not just who they are for themselves, but their own significance and their own purpose in their own life.
Well, and I'm just going to take my second point and go right into that, is they're going to make mistakes in that process. They're not necessarily going to make the decisions that we know from our own experience, perhaps when we were their age, were best. They're going to falter. And more than anything, I think we need to be that anchor again, that safe place to come back to not say, I told you so, or make them feel in any way that a mistake is not recoverable or is a failure. So just be safe. And it's difficult because they may very well make a decision that is even, somewhat harmful to them or others in their life. And we want to protect them, but if they do, they need you more than ever to be there, to be a
so
place.
Give them the space to kind of spread their wings, which is what they should be learning to do. But be prepared that when the consequence for poor choices happens, which will happen as they learn, be there for them.
Right.
Be ready to comfort them. Be ready to what? What else do you do when the mistake happens?
I think when the mistake happens, it's important to maybe look for the big picture.
Okay.
Where you don't know what God is doing in their life. You don't know what He desires for them. And sometimes it's really, really hard to admit, but sometimes the best is the road of suffering.
Yeah.
And sometimes the road of suffering is the natural consequences for some of their decisions.
Right.
Okay.
And that's hard because it hurts.
Yeah.
As a mom, it just
I can't imagine, actually. I mean, my kids are a little younger, and so when you see them at younger teenage years, and the mistakes, it's like, it's a bummer, but okay, it's not gonna be something major in their life. But as they get to be more young adults, the consequences get a little heavier.
And it might even feel major at the time. And that's where you've really got to trust in God and be on your knees and be praying. And I mentioned this earlier in a conversation, find a mentor or a support
I thought that was
person,
really good.
That has been through it, is going through it at the same time, and it'll be real. The person will be real with you and authentic, and you can be the same.
That's good.
It's really helpful, I think.
Good.
It keeps you that perspective,
the big picture,
perspective, and not the overreacting parent, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, because I think it's easy for us as parents to you get zoned in and you just think this is the worst possible case scenario.
And
then
sometimes it is.
And sometimes it might be.
Sometimes it is.
But then if you have someone that's further along on the journey and they know how it kind of has a way of working itself out, they can kind of help calm us or calm you guys to say.
I think something else that helps me maybe get my head in the right place is to realize, okay, it's this way today, but that doesn't guarantee that tomorrow is going to be the same way.
Right.
That doesn't mean that your relationship is going to be the same. It might be different. Hopefully, if it's bad now, it'll be better tomorrow. But life changes and morphs, and that's something that we can hold on to, that in the midst of the change, even when it hurts and when it's hard, that God is still overseeing that change.
That's good.
And I'm going to add to that, I think my relationship with God, my dependence on Him, my surrender to Him has become more real and authentic in this period of life, more so than any other time in my life, because
it's very humbling.
Yeah, it's very humbling, and you realize that you're just not in control more than ever.
That's right.
And we're not. And
Right.
we shouldn't.
We're not supposed to be.
Right.
We're not
Right,
supposed
exactly.
to
We think we are.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and we're comfortable with that.
Right.
And little people and their situations are more controllable.
Right.
But in reality, we never were.
Right.
Or
That's
never
true.
supposed to be.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing those insights. It's really, really good stuff. So I hope, ladies, take some time, listen to this video, do it with a friend or a mentor in a small group setting, use the questions below, have a conversation, and just learn from this. Even if your kids aren't adult age kids yet, be prepared for this. But if this is the season of life you're in, just use the wisdom of these precious ladies and apply these lessons to your life so that you can move forward through these years and feel like you can do it well and not struggle through it and be so frustrated.